on this episode of The Natural Plastic Surgeon.
I've been in LA for 2 years, and obviously since I've lived out here, you're on the beach more,
right.
I'm hiking a lot, and I was like, okay, this is like not just me having like bigger, it's like they're noticeably bigger than a lot of people. And then, I'd be at the beach with friends, and it was always comments and things that people would be making, and I was like, all right, this isn't fun, but
right.
it was like to the point where I would see other girls who maybe were a little bit top heavy, and I was like, there's a noticeable difference between me and them.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Barrett. We are here on podcast Natural Plastic Surgeon episode number 31. I've got a beautiful patient of mine, Dominique. She's here today to talk about her journey and her surgery that she had. I think it was probably in this room. Mm-hmm. Do you remember?
I think so.
Okay.
It was.
And you had a breast reduction.
I did.
So I get a lot of people that come to me, they want bigger breasts. And you came and said, hey, I want smaller breasts. Mm-hmm. So what's going on? What happened? Tell us about you and what led you down this road?
I mean, honestly, this is something I've been thinking about probably for 5 years. Wow. I've always been small.
And you're 30 years old.
30 years old, yes. Well, now 31.
Okay.
But I've always been smaller framed. I'm 5'2". And I think it was double D.
Mm-hmm.
Big boobs.
Yeah.
And I'm a very active person, so I love working out, hiking, swimming, traveling. And it was just things that, started to really act up. I had 3 herniated discs in my back. 2 were bulging. God. 1 was herniated, all to the right side. And I would get epidural after epidural. And I noticed that, it was my large chest that was really aggravating.
Okay.
A lot of it. And I started to notice it way more, within this last year, especially because I work with cameras a lot, so.
Well, tell me about this. So that you're getting epidurals, right?
Yeah.
Were these doctors saying, hey, your boobs are too big? Or like, when did you put like 2 and 2 together?
Yeah, only 1 actually did. And, because I was thinking like, I want to have kids one day. I'm getting all these epidurals. Like, at one point, is this even going to work? And then back surgery for herniated discs.
We talk about epidurals in case you have a pregnancy?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And then,
well, not to mention they're sticking needles in your spinal cord.
100%.
Yeah.
And then the only time that people actually gave me an option is they were telling me about like different surgeries for my herniated discs. And I knew that was a huge recovery. Right. Only one doctor had said, hey, you're very heavy chested. Like, this could be putting a lot of pressure on you. And I had a roommate at the time who actually got the procedure. And that was the first time that I had ever seen somebody.
Your roommate got a breast reduction?
Yes.
Wow.
She did.
Was it my patient?
No.
Okay.
This was back in Pennsylvania.
Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're back in PA. Now, did you grow up out there? Or where did you
grew up in West Virginia.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you found your way to Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And so I'm from Virginia, and for all you listeners out there, there's a big difference between West Virginia and Virginia.
There is.
They're very different states. They're both beautiful in different ways.
Yes.
But they're not the same state.
Right.
But you find yourself to Pennsylvania, mm-hmm. and what were you trying to do? I mean, like, you're having all these back problems. Like, before the thought of surgery, getting a reductive surgery, like, was there stuff you're trying to do to kind of help alleviate this?
Yeah. I mean, crazy. Like, I felt like I was always dieting.
Okay.
And I was always doing like very cardio heavy workouts. But at the same time, that was tough because then it's like, I get home from the gym and I'm super sore, and I couldn't continue to keep that up. And mm-hmm. I was trying to do, a lot of like, I tried the keto diet and different things where, it was known to, lose a lot of fat, and I would lose a little bit, but never to the point where I ever felt any release. I would almost lose weight from everywhere else, but the area.
But your breasts.
Yeah. Where I wanted to.
And when did you notice that your breasts are like, hey, mine are kind of like bigger than average, or like, this is kind of unusual?
I'd say the past like year and a half. I've been in LA for 2 years, and obviously since I've lived out here, you're on the beach more,
right.
I'm hiking a lot. And I was like, okay, this is like not just me having like bigger, it's like they're noticeably bigger than a lot of people. And then, I'd be at the beach with friends, and it was always comments and things that people would be making. And I was like, all right, this isn't fun. But,
right.
It was like to the point where I would see other girls who maybe were a little bit top heavy, and I was like, there's a noticeable difference between me and them.
Okay. And when you were in high school, everything was normal? It wasn't until like a year and a half that you kind of noticed them being bigger?
No, I was always bigger. But you know, you don't really notice it until like, especially as I got more health conscious and I was losing weight from everywhere else. Yeah. And it was like, you know, everything is small except for my tops had to be large, you know, and there was just different things where it was like, it was even hard to shop, honestly.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, clothes, unless you get custom fitting clothes, nothing really fits right in this situation. And I get the opposite situation where girls have no chest, no breasts whatsoever. And they're like, my number one reason for being here is because I want to fit in clothes better.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, so your roommate got it done in Pennsylvania. You came out here and people were like eyeing you down at the beach and you're like, what am I doing? And I've got multiple bulging discs.
Yeah.
What next? Like, did you do some online research or like, tell us what happened?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was something where I think up until I found you, I was looking actively for probably about 6 months.
Okay.
You know, one was timing. You know, I wanted to find a good time to do it. So
right, because you're a busy woman. You work like in production, which is never like a break.
Yeah. So I knew that there was a time to where I was going to be kind of transitioning a bit, that I was like, okay, around Thanksgiving, you know, it was a good time. And then, you know, I started to just really look on Yelp and different things. And I had called probably, I'd say about 5 different surgeons before finding you.
Here in town, Los Angeles?
All here in town. A lot, you know, did a different type of procedure that I just didn't feel like, you know, when I called, I felt like it was very transactional, and a lot of them versus like really kind of talking to me about what I wanted. I had stumbled upon your page and I had loved, you know, what you did with just the method that you go into with surgery where I knew it was going to be minimal scarring. Right. You know, I spent a lot of time on your website. Not a lot of surgeons had before and after photos, which is something that was very important to me.
Of course.
Yeah. And as soon as I called, it was like everybody was so nice. And I think I was on the phone with a receptionist for like 30 minutes.
Really?
The first time I had called, and I had heard everything that I wanted to hear. And I was like, okay. I called a couple other places, and then I was like, no, this is where I want to go. Yeah.
Well, do you remember who you spoke to on the phone?
I don't. Maybe Callie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, well, so a number of things are going on. Like one, you know, we kind of do things differently. You know, we treat people as individuals. When you call, it's like, we want to find out what's really going on. What is it that's important to you? A lot of times people have goals and objectives that we really can't fulfill.
100%.
You know? Yeah. And so we always try to kind of like get a sense for really what's motivating you, what's driving you and everything. So I'm glad. That really, really makes me feel good that you had that experience. When it comes to breast reduction, it's such a challenging operation. The standard operation, and I think we talked about this during our consultation, is a inferior pedicle. Do you know what that means?
Not really.
Okay. So the breast has blood supply from, you know, basically 4 different quadrants, right? Yeah. You have blood supply from the top, from the side, from the medial, and below. So the standard way, the traditional way that we all learn in residency, plastic surgery residency, is inferior pedicle Weiss pattern. Weiss pattern is another name for that anchor scar, right? So the problem with that is the blood supply comes from the bottom part of the breast. It's very reliable. That helps supply blood to the nipples and the areola, and that way you can debulk everything up and around, right? The problem is you're creating a bottom-heavy breast, and you create scarring that goes way too far laterally. So what ends up happening is, yes, you get a reduction of the breast, but it ends up using the skin to kind of hold everything together. And skin is not a good like retaining mechanism, right? It doesn't really last. It's the same reason why if you do a skin-only facelift, it only looks good for the first year. Yeah. So not only that, but you don't need to have scars that go horizontal. All we really need to do is do vertical lollipop incision, so an incision around the areola and a line going down. Unfortunately, a lot of surgeons don't know how to do that. There's actually a female doctor, I give her 100% credit for this. Her name is Dr. Elizabeth Hall Finley. She's in Banff, Canada. Have you ever been to Banff? I recommend it. It's a really beautiful place. I went there to go hiking with my family, and I realized how small of a town it was. I was like, where did this plastic surgeon come from? She just came out of the middle of nowhere. And I actually met her, and I went to some of her seminars to learn how to do this vertical lollipop, vertical pedicle, or superior medial pedicle. So the blood supply comes from up here. So you're debulking the bottom, the heavy part of the breast, and then you're using the breast tissue to support itself, not the skin. So there's a couple concepts that are really transformative in terms of how the result ends up looking. One, it doesn't look flat and boxy. It looks more 3-dimensional and more lifted. 2, you have way less scarring, and 3, combines liposuction, which I think saves you from having that scar chasing all the way out onto your axilla.
Yeah.
And that's what we did for you.
Definitely. And I remember that my roommate had that scar, and that was actually something that kind of made me question if I wanted it, because I was like, that's a huge scar, you know, and I know that she was definitely very uncomfortable. So, you know, I'd say out of the 5 people that I had called, at least 3 of them did it that way, which was something I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to go down that route.
Yeah. All right. So there were some others that were doing the lollipop or vertical.
Yeah.
Great. That's good. That's encouraging, because I feel like not enough plastic surgeons. There's a lot of plastic surgeons out there that are used to doing what they've been used to the past 20 years, and they don't want to change. It works. Yep. Symptoms go away because we debulk the breast. But it's just like breasts are such a defining characteristic of a woman's body. That I think we should use the latest technique. I mean, if you can make the breast look better, not flat and boxy, and get rid of scarring. Scarring is the biggest limitation, I think, for people trying to get this operation.
Yeah. And I've already been, I mean, we're at the 2-month mark right now, and I'm already just like amazed at how the scarring looks. Like, it looks really good. Let's
back up. Let's talk about, if you've never had any surgery, did you have any surgery before at all?
No, I had my wisdom teeth. Actually, no, I did. I had that fibroid adenoma in my right breast. Because I remember that was something, but it was when I was younger. I think like my sophomore year, of college. But other than that, the only surgery I had was my wisdom teeth.
And so what was the experience like coming into a plastic surgery office, and, you know, you're perfectly healthy, signing up to have, like, I know you've had epidurals before, but like signing up to have like a big operation like this?
I was definitely scared before, but again, like, your office makes it so easy and friendly and fun. So I feel like I was just armed with information from the upfront. Like, you know, from the first second where you're meeting with Rachel, it's like she kind of breaks everything down for you, so you know what it's going to be. And, you know, this is obviously a voluntary surgery, so I knew, like, I'm going to go in there and, you know, I'm going to be put under, and this is going to be the process. But I was excited about it because I know that the results coming out were going to be something that was going to be life-changing. So I think up until I had met you all, I was scared, and then I had come in twice prior to my surgery. So by the time I got here, I remember before I was like streaming something on my phone. I was like, I'm ready to get this going.
So we're taking up too much of your time then. Right? Well, that's good. It's better to have it that way than feel like rushed. Oh, surgery's now, or like, oh, you know, well, what about this, or what do I need to do? And
definitely,
you know, it's better to be way more prepared and educated going into the procedure. And that's what we're all about. We really want to be increased transparency. We want people have clear expectations of what to expect, and hey, if that's not right for you, that's totally fine. We don't want you to come here if you're not. That's not what you want. Totally fine. But I do think breast reduction is one of my favorite operations because patients are super happy afterwards, both functionally and aesthetically. You know, clothes fit better, back pain goes away, neck pain goes away, grooving in the shoulder goes away, and sometimes people have really bad. They get rashes underneath their breasts because of the extra skin folds. So day of surgery, walking in, what was going through your head?
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm finally going to do this.
My
mom was with me, and I think she was more nervous.
And she flew out from West Virginia,
She flew out from West Virginia.
Which is awesome. I've never had anybody actually from West Virginia.
Really?
Yes. Which I know. So I actually spent, growing up in Virginia, we spent a fair amount of time in West Virginia because there's actually a lot more beautiful, wild, and rugged than Virginia is. Virginia's like West Virginia light. You know, it's like it's got little rivers, little mountains, but then you go to West Virginia, you got bigger mountains, bigger rivers. And it's beauties on a bigger scale. So
I like it out here, but it's very beautiful.
No, me too. I mean, that's why I'm here too. But, but so she flew out all the way from West Virginia.
And it was actually helpful because you're so active on social and your website and things that, you know, she and I both had just been following before. So I feel like, you know, actually seeing other procedures and, you know, being able to see your experience from just reading about it on the website was something super helpful. But she was definitely, her nerves were a little bit worse than mine in the morning. And I think the only time that I started to get super, super nervous was like right when you were kind of marking me up. I was like, wow, this is real. But then, you know, started talking to everybody, and I got so much more excited because I knew just coming out of it, it was going to be something that I wanted for so long.
Well, I know it kind of hits you when you're there the day of surgery. You're like, all right, I just battled ridiculous traffic and now I'm here. I'm like, oh wait, I'm about to have surgery, you know?
Yeah.
And then I always see it on people. I always give my patients a hug right before we go back. And, you know, we have used board certified anesthesiologists. We make it extremely safe. And then you come back and then do you remember anything when you went to sleep or anything at all?
No, I just remember I was like asking about music. I was talking to everybody.
Did we play any special music for you?
I think you played Drake.
Oh, that's right.
I was adamant about Drake.
I think we tried to play that for you because my scrub tech, he likes Drake too. So I think we probably try to play that in the middle of it. But sometimes we have problems with playlists on Spotify.
I remember like talking to the nurses as I was being wheeled back. And then the next thing I remember is waking up and my mom was like, Dr. Barrett's here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was so out of it, but I immediately felt lighter. And you had told me that.
Okay.
Like, I was definitely super out of it, but I immediately was like, okay, something's different now.
That's something that all of my breast reduction patients tell me.
Yeah.
And I do share that with people because it's, you know, sometimes when I do breast augmentation, there's a little bit of stretching and soreness right after the augmentation. And people kind of feel that. With breast reduction, it's like the opposite. It's just like, you know, even though you just got, you know, liposuction in your armpit, and sometimes I do a little extra to make it look nice. And you have all these stitches and you had this anesthesia, there's like a weight lifted. It's weird. I've never had it obviously, but that's a lot of what my patients actually describe. Yeah. And we did for your surgery. I have the numbers here. We took off 103 grams off the right, 120 grams off the left. We did 300 cc's of liposuction out of the left breast and 250 out of the right. So it's kind of funny. Your left breast was bigger than your right. So it kind of tilts you that way. Maybe that's why the discs kind of went that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it sounds like, you know, it's kind of crazy that insurance companies require you to take 500 grams to qualify for breast reduction because people come in different sizes.
Right.
Like you could be 6'3" and have 500 grams, no problem. Or you could be somebody your size and it's like 500 grams, that's your whole breast.
Exactly.
But still you need a reduction, you know? So it kind of blows my mind. I guess that's a subject for a different podcast.
Definitely. Yeah. Because it felt like a lot. I mean,
it kind of was. If you add up the fat from the liposuction and then the gram tissue removed, it's a huge deal. Not only that, but it actually kind of lifts the breast. Yeah. Puts them in a more anatomic supported position. Yeah. So there's some functional things there in terms of where we place the breast during the reduction that are great. So, all right, recovery. Was it super painful, difficult?
Not nearly what I was expecting. I think I had a little bit more pain from the areas from liposuction versus anywhere else. I'd say after the first 2 days, it really wasn't bad. I mean, the first week I wanted to go out and do stuff. Like I remember I went to the movies and I was kind of moving around.
What movie did you see? Do you remember?
I saw the Mr. Rogers movie at the time. It was really good. I cried.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's a tearjerker?
It's a tearjerker. Okay. It's really good.
Probably still has some anesthesia in your system.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I remember that was like a big deal because I was like, I'm leaving the house. This is because that was the hardest thing is I'm not somebody who's used to sitting still. And I think I thought I was more ready to do things and then I'd start to move around and it was like, okay, body. Like after my mom left, I had a hard time like lifting things. Yeah.
Was it nice to have mom come visit?
It was so nice. Yeah. And then it was nice afterwards that friends would like come help me take my trash out and things. Oh, cool. And I remember I was like, man, I can't get away with this for much longer. Like it was like a couple weeks that I did that, but it was cute. I mean, it was not anything like what I expected. And I'd say after the first week was the hardest. And after that, it was really kind of a breeze.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you're 2 months out now. How do you feel about your results and has anything changed in your life? How's your pain? Tell us all about it.
I feel amazing. Like the confidence level is like something I haven't felt because, you know, that's always something that like, females, I don't think talk about enough, but like that's a huge sensitivity. And that was something that I was always really sensitive about. So I just immediately feel more confident. I feel like my posture is a lot better.
It is.
Running has been something that I've been doing.
You ran for the first time, right?
I ran for the first time in 4 years.
When was this? When did you?
This was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I ran for the first time in 4 years. I ran for 2 miles.
Hell
and I like cried afterwards because I was like,
another high five.
This is so great. And I didn't have the pain. I mean, you know, there's a little soreness, but it's not like after any time I would work out, I would have a lot of pain because I hike a lot. I'm a big into boxing. That's my favorite workout.
Yep.
I'm running. I want to eventually do a half marathon. I
Hell
don't
yeah.
think anytime soon, but in the next couple years, that's something that I'm going to be working towards.
Next couple of years. Let's do next few months.
I mean, we'll see. I made it 2 miles the first time I ran.
Yeah.
So,
Were you sore after that? Or were your legs sore?
A little sore. I mean, the pace I was going wasn't anything to write home about, but I was proud.
That's great.
And I feel like I'm starting to wear different clothes. And I've had a lot of friends say that they notice something different about me, which clearly, but I think it's just,
how you look or how you are, just your energy level, or what was it specifically? Did they comment?
Both. And also, again, like, when I'm not producing, photography is my side hustle. So it's been so much easier to shoot without having that extra weight. Like, I really didn't realize. Because you got all that
camera gear that you got to carry around too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't really see the difference. Obviously, I knew there was always going to be something when I wanted this surgery. But now when I'm just engaging in some of these routines that I normally used to, I'm like, it's night and day. Like, I mean, I love waking up without excruciating back pain every day.
Wow. So even when you're lying down flat, you were getting pain.
And nighttime was the worst.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was always like, I just felt so top heavy. Like sometimes sitting on the couch, it sounds crazy, but like I couldn't even relax, like watching TV, because I just would feel so top heavy.
Wow. Amazing.
So I'm a happy girl.
Well, that's real. I mean, that really lights our fire here. Yeah. I mean, this is why I love doing surgery, because if I can make a difference like that in one person, your life, I feel completely fulfilled. I feel like I made the world a better place, and you're such an amazing person. I'm just so happy that we could be a part of that for you.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate it, because you guys have been great, and
awesome.
I would recommend it to anyone, and I would totally do it again. Like afterwards, I was like, okay, this wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Good. Well, we try to do that. There's a lot of things that we do. I inject a lot of numbing medicine for the surgery, so you wake up. It's not, we use board certified anesthesiologists, and we kind of lighten the anesthesia. We try to use stuff that doesn't linger in your system, make you feel like crap. We do a lot of scar management, the taping, the scar gel. Hopefully you're still doing the scar gel. We use a product called Skinuva that I think is really good for scarring and healing. Hopefully you're using it twice a day still.
I am.
Okay, good. But in terms of half marathons, I just did one. I did the Pasadena half marathon. I did it yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is an amazing one to do.
Yeah.
Los Angeles has a marathon, which is in March, which I'm also going to do. That's too soon for you.
Yes,
but,
way too soon.
I think you should make a Pasadena half marathon your goal for next year.
I should.
Yeah, it gives you 1 year to kind of get there.
To train and do it. Yeah, because I'm surprised how much more I can do now.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? You're not alone. A lot of women, when I do breast reductions, also sometimes tummy tucks.
Yeah.
For people that had massive weight loss, they feel like their extra skin or their heavy breasts are getting in the way, and we take care of that, and they're like at a next level.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I'm going out. I actually can get to these goals. I'm running. Guess what? Now I'm running, and life just got that much easier. My weight's coming off, or I feel more energetic. I'm doing better at work, just because of these little fine tuning things. So. And
I'm even more inclined to eat healthier now, because I'm like, I don't want to ever get back to, where I was. And it's like, I feel lighter. I feel healthier. I feel happier.
What are you doing to eat healthier?
I'm cutting down a lot more carbs than I did before, like not too crazy heavy, because I still need them for the amount that I'm trying to work out, but I've just tweaked that, like a lot leaner. Yeah. I think like I just feel leaner, so I'm more inclined to eat less.
Right. You just feel good.
And just change things up. I think it sparked a whole new journey with just my health in general. Nice. Like, you want to focus on like mind, body, spirit, everything.
Yeah. Have you tried intermittent fasting yet?
I have. I've been doing it, and it's been working really well.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I stop eating at like 8 or 9, depending on what I have to do after work. And
do you work that late sometimes?
No, but I mean, I'm a creative, so it's like I'll go to my day job, and then I'll come home and, kind of work on my photo website or different things. And, I try to stay active in the community. So I'm usually doing something after work, and then I'll eat, and then I won't eat again the next day until like 11 or 12.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's hard to do at first.
It is, but now I'm not even hungry in the morning.
It's great, right? Because it's like we get so used to this carb dependent mode, and then it's like you shut off the carbs for just a few hours, your body freaks out at first. It's like, oh my God, where's my carbs? And then believe it or not, you have this other fuel system in your body that's like actually been meant to use on a regular basis. It's called our fat, right? And then when you tap into that, it's hard for you to get used to that first. But once you get used to it, it's really great for your regulation, your hormones and everything. And so it's like you may even still have the same amount of calories, but your weight will come down because your level of inflammation and your hormones are much more regulated. So,
and I like working out even before I eat too. Sometimes it's like a good kickstart to the day.
Fasted workouts. That's a really nice thing to do. So you work out in a fasted state. You get a better hormonal regulation afterwards that stimulates weight loss and muscle growth, believe it or not. So I have a couple other questions here. Okay. What tips would you have for somebody who's considering the same operation?
Go to you guys. No, I'd say just do your research and homework. I knew this was something I wanted to do for a while, but I was very methodical about how and when. Don't just go with the first person that you research. I mean, talk to other women. Like I had reached out to friends because I had talked to my roommate, but I wanted to talk to other women who had gone through it. So I kind of had people put me in touch with other women. So even while my recovery, I had somebody else to text just to kind of ask if things were normal too, instead of, because I think I had called you guys a lot the first couple days with questions.
No, it's not that. We get phone calls all the time. It's totally fine. I answer them sometimes, and on the weekend, we get back to people. Yeah, because it's like I do this every day. Right. You don't really do this surgery every day, so there's a lot of unknowns that you don't know. Yeah. And our job is to kind of answer those questions for you. Yeah. And if there's a problem, then we need to do something, or hey, that's completely normal. Just rest and relax. Right. Yeah.
And that's the latter is what I got, but it was nice to be able to call and then just again have other women who have gone through it. And then I kind of just like. I had a goal in mind, I had different clothes that I wanted to wear. So I kind of just had this like almost vision board for what I wanted, before I came in. So I felt like I was so confident after that first consultation that, I knew what I wanted and I knew I was going to be in good hands.
So let's dive into that. Let's be real critical of your results right now. So of your expectations of what your breast size would be, because a lot of people make a mistake. They take too much or they take too little. And you could be completely honest with me. How are you in terms of your size results and how are things looking for you?
I feel great. I think they still look like, full and they fit my body. Yeah. But at first I was like, oh, these are bigger than what I thought because they were still swollen. But now it's, things settle down. I'm like, oh, this is, perfect. And it's like, obviously my size is going to look different on me than it would somebody who's 6'3". Yeah. So I'm very happy. I mean, the most I notice is my clothes. Like I still fill out clothes very nicely, but it's not like busting, at the seams. And I'm actually surprised some of the clothes I thought that I was going to want to give away, like actually fit, just a lot better. Nice. But it feels right for my body. Like that's the best way that I can describe it. I think if it was smaller, I would feel like, okay, this is a little bit crazy, but it just feels right. Yeah.
It's funny. I haven't had a patient go through this, but there's been some women that I've met who've got a breast reduction, haven't been happy with there was over reduced and then they come back and they get an implant. So it's just like you're, it's like, what's that fairy tale where I forget, the porridge is too hot or it's too short. What is that one?
Goldilocks.
Yeah. It's like a Goldilocks, and it was like, it's too big, it's too small. It's like, I think when I do this, I have you give me photos. And so I really kind of understand, I want to know exactly what size you're trying to aiming for. And obviously if it's too drastic, we're going to talk about it. We're like, look, you really want to do this kind of thing. Cause some women just want absolutely nothing. Yeah. But I think what you chose was very natural. And you're right. There is a lot of swelling. And so I always kind of tailor that during the operation. I know that the liposuction is going to swell everything up at first and then it comes down. And by 3 months, you have a good idea of where you're going to be, what your final result's going to be.
Definitely. But I'm very happy. So
good. Intimacy, dating, or you have a boyfriend, what's going on?
Single.
Yeah. All right.
But it's helped me feel more confident. You know what I mean? That was something that, again, I think, I didn't realize how much it was messing with just my view of myself, you know, because it was something that was always like the first comment that people would make sometimes. And I was like, that's not what I want you to say. And, you know, I couldn't wear anything that I felt like sexy in. I can be honest in saying that. And now I feel like I'm actually ready for that. And, you know, I've had more like, just a lot of people have said you seem like you are just different. And I think it's because you can tell that there's just a little bit more confidence. Before I would kind of try to like hide, and I would wear very baggy, overweight things. Like, you know, even the girls at the front have said what I'm wearing now coming in has been completely different.
I mean, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
I saw you in the hallway and I was like, you're like a changed woman.
Yeah.
And, you know, I gave you a big hug and you look fantastic.
Thank you. No, I feel great. So
obviously you answered, would you do it again? You said absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's talk about the research that you did. You said you looked online. Was there any particular websites that you looked at, or what was it that kind of help guide you?
I did just like look at a couple websites. I looked first at my insurance websites, but they were sending me to people who weren't specialists. And that was like a first red flag. I was like, this is absolutely not something I'm going to go to.
They're probably not board certified plastic surgeons, and they're like factories.
Like the first place I got sent to, I think it was just like a place that was specifically for breast reductions, but it felt like I was just getting sent into a number. Like nobody, like I remember I had asked the question, like, can I go to this certain size? And some people were like, no, you know, we'll only do kind of what we think is best. And that was,
or to make the insurance pay, which is like a massive reduction.
Right. Which, you know, I don't think I was ready for. I had talked to a lot of friends, just even in different states, who had thought about it and looked into it. And I would call some of the people that they talked to, and I was like, this just isn't right for me. And then I found you through Yelp, actually, and everybody was very happy. And then I spent a lot of time on the website, called. I think what was super helpful is what you have on social media and YouTube too. So I think that to me was big in research, is like, I don't want to just like see a website or talk to people at the front desk. I want to actually, you know, see. And there was another girl who was actually on the podcast who was shaped kind of similar to me. I think her name is Nicole.
Yep.
And that was like one thing that really was like, okay, this is like 100%, because everything that she said, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel the same exact way.
That's
and like,
awesome.
You know, from a young age, it's something that you have even struggled with. So that was really helpful to me, is like not just reading the testimonials, but like watching and seeing.
Yeah. It's very powerful. I mean, it's like there's so many doctors that just kind of forget that you're operating on somebody's body, you know, somebody's daughter, somebody's family member. And, you know, to me, it goes beyond, I mean, obviously we have to run a business and we have fees for stuff, but it's just like, to me, it's like your underlying passion should be there, and trying to give you, you know, figure out what it is your goals are and get you as close to that as possible, guide you through the process, make sure that you're comfortable throughout it, because it's just like plastic surgery gets a bad name in so many ways. And, you know, we're really trying to change that. And that's partly why we put a lot of the stuff out there, a lot of the videos out there, but like, hey, this is what it is. This is more information about it. It's not for everybody, which is fine. And here we are. Kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, you're never going to question like if you needed to get your knee fixed. You know what I mean? And
I
I hate to use the term fixed, but it was like, I feel healthier now. Right. You know?
Awesome. So what was the most surprising thing, the whole process to you? I know we didn't prepare you for this question, but I always like to ask it. It's like, you know, oh my gosh, they took me out the back door and I was in this wheelchair. It was, I don't know. I felt like, I don't know, something.
I think that just the quickness of like, when I was done, like I remember just immediately going home and I was like, wow, like this is, cause it's such a major surgery, you know, going into it, I was like, this is a huge surgery. And one girl that I talked to actually said that she was in a ton of pain afterwards. So that had scared me. And I was like surprised that I went home and I didn't even sleep right after. I was just like binging on Netflix and like walking around. So what
was your go-to on Netflix? Just curious.
I was watching The Politician at the time.
You told me about that.
I told you about that. It was a really good one. Yeah. I like Ryan Murphy as a director.
Nice.
But that was what was surprising to me, is just how like easy it was afterwards to go home. And, you know, I thought it was going to be harder sleeping. I actually now sleep on my back a lot more because of how I had to sleep after this process. And was surprised how quickly I was able to get back into things. I mean, working out was harder at first.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit more fatigued and my arm strength is down. But other than that, like, I really don't feel like I had to take as many steps back as I thought I was going to have to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That whole postoperative pain thing is something that is very much preventable. That's a lot of the pre-injection I do with the numbing medicine, because even though your brain is asleep, your body still feels surgery, right? So that's why I inject the whole breast with numbing medicine that lasts for 6 hours. So your spinal cord doesn't feel it and everything just feels normal when you wake up.
Yeah.
Because if you do that surgery with no numbing medicine, your spinal cord, everything gets upregulated. So every little thing hurts afterwards. So these are just little tips and tricks that I think everybody doing surgery should do. Pre-inject with local pain medication.
It was great. So,
but is there anything that you'd like to share with the audience about your experience, or like expert tips or something you wish that you might have known going into this breast reduction surgery?
I wish I would have really known more about like how other surgeons do it. With like the scarring was big. Like when I heard you first talk about it, my first consultation, that was when I was immediately like, okay, I'm in the right place.
So you didn't know about that prior to that?
At all.
Okay.
No, because like I said, the only breast reduction that I had known personally, they had it. So I remember the scar was just like all the way across. I think I'm happy that I had planned a time when I knew I didn't have to really like dive back into things a lot more. And I think people, just have an open line of communication with your doctor, like, because I felt like I was always asking, like, I remember even going back to work, you all were helpful with like, well, you should maybe only be working, 5 hours when you first start again. So I think
that's
it's
the hard
like,
part. It's just you can't go right back to like full speed.
And making sure like that was the big thing for me. I'm like, if I had it now, I'm so busy now that I think I would have like, because you can tell when you're pushing your body,
right?
So that was big for me. I think like really don't just jump to it, like think about it, because if I hadn't thought about it for as long as I did, I probably wouldn't have ended up here, which was ultimately the best.
So do your research.
Do your research. Yes.
Awesome, Dominique. Well, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for sharing your experience. I guarantee it's going to help somebody listening in who is trying to make the right decision, just like Nicol helped you.
She did.
And I think you're an amazing, beautiful person, and I'm so happy for you, and can't wait to see your final result when you're all fully healed.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.